Pokemon games always spark opinions, with Scarlet and Violet being no exception. So whether it's your favorite new Pokemon, favorite character, or just your favorite sandwich, today I'm going to rank all the most important Pokemon Scarlet and Violet tier lists. Starting off, we're going to rank every character in the game. So firstly, we have to talk about the protagonists. They're awful. I get the protagonist is meant to be the blank canvas, right? And you're meant to customize them to how you feel fit. And great, there's a bunch of hairstyle options in this game, but there's no clothes. So until that's improved, these are C tier. Next up is the Team Star Grunts. I'm just gonna rate the overall aesthetic, not the actual characters, right? They wear bicycle helmets. Do I need to say any more? Okay, you know what? Let's rename some of these. Perfect, right. So the first gym leader, this is the patisserie gym leader, right? That likes bug-type Pokemon, which don't really mix. This guy just sucks. He's Mr. Art, he has grass-type Pokemon, but I don't know, his dialogue just comes across annoying. This is the greatest. This is Iono. If it's the same person that wrote Brassius as Iono, they definitely switched it up, because this one hit. This one didn't. This guy's funny. He had a little side quest. I like the stuff where it introduced the market. So he can go in the solid tier. He reminded me of Wake, but at the same time, he just looks kind of funny. Larry, the greatest above Iono. No one questions Larry. He's a salary man and he just puts in the work, okay? You gotta respect that. I know I shouldn't associate the character themselves with the gym test, but in this case, I don't think I can overlook how bad that was. This is lagging so hard. Okay, you probably get the idea. I'm cut. But apart from that, it's an okay character. Rhyme the Rapper had some stuff going. The entire rap segment was pretty good. But the actual character, do they rate above Unibrow? No. But another one that honestly needs voice acting, right? Grusha, he broke his leg, I guess, in snowboarding. I don't know what the actual lore behind it is, but aesthetically, the character obviously is so sick. What a good design. Rika's is just androgyny 101. Them appearing throughout the game was pretty good because it actually developed the character. This has to be another greatest, right? I even prefer her above Grusha. And Iono. Poppy, quirky 5-year-old for some reason that's in the Elite Four. Your 10-year-old trainer as the protagonist. Why not have a 5-year-old as the Elite Four? This guy's just Mr. Harry Potter. Kinda lacking. Geeta, not one of my favorite champions, purely because the team kind of sucked in the end. And I didn't really like their demeanor. They were pretty nonchalant towards the trainer a lot of the time. Feel like it's a bit of a bait, the fact that they had a pretty low tier team. I think that they're going to be a prevalent character in some sort of DLC down the line. Unless they did actually underdevelop this character. Considering how many sick characters are in this game, the champion is the one that you always put the effort in for. That's what's making me think they might be up to something. They might be scheming. This is Yak. He was the homeroom teacher, but in reality, he kind of served as the professor. If you just played the main story, you wouldn't really get much of a feel for this guy, but it's developed a fair bit through the school storyline, and I think this is an alright design. Dendra. She's in some of the school storyline. I think she has a cool design. Home ec teacher. Big buff man, not featuring in the main story. They don't really get much. I haven't even touched Salvatore's thing, but big buff home ec teacher wearing pink is a bit funnier, right? This is the nurse that for some reason they wanted to experiment with the mechanic of friendship and relationship levels. So they just stuck in some random nurse, but they passed their exams. So good job them. Being time, why didn't they make her a history teacher? This is actually the history teacher. If I had to point it out, they would be the maths teacher. The mom, becoming less and less relevant every generation. Gone within the first 5 minutes of the game. Mela, I have to put them up in greatest. They are the best of the 5. I actually did Mela first, which is kind of funny because you're meant to do Giacomo, right? But that fight's hard if you're not ready. Atticus, he had the poison types, he was in the tag tree area. I like this design. This is the weakest of the 5. Generic anime protagonist. He was also super rich, right? We get it's a private school and they're all rich kids, but he was mega wealthy. I like Eri better than Ortega design-wise, and she destroyed me on multiple occasions. I had to go into this fight like 3 times. Ranks in the middle of all the designs. Clavel's hilarious because he just pardons cybercrimes for whatever reason. This man is corrupt, and I like his whole Clive undercover persona. He's just a funky, goofy guy. Nimona, honestly, probably the best rival we've ever had. People make the argument that it's just Goku, which I just think's funny. This is how you do an over-the-top character, not Hop. Arvid ends up being probably the best and most fleshed out character in the game. I know people always give spoiler warnings and then talk about it, but I'm not going to spoil Arven's arc. It's pretty insane for a Pokemon game. I didn't play Scarlet. I assume it's very similar to Violet. I'm just going to rank them at the same level. Without spoiling, there's not really much there. You know, but they look good, right? And finally, Penny. Prevalent throughout the story. Being one of the main characters, they're obviously going to have a significantly more fleshed out story. Honestly, pretty solid character, but it's annoying me now that I'm going to have to kick someone out of here. Okay, that's good. Well, let's move on and rank every town in the game. Firstly, we need to talk about the starting area. Similar to how they did it in Sword and Shield, this is literally just your house and the rival's house. There's honestly nothing here. Second up, we have Los Platos, which technically is the first town in the game. It's between the starting area and Mesagoza. There's no shops, and you can't go in any of the houses. This town just sucks. Mesagoza is the biggest city in the game. This basically offers all the shops, the school, the Pokemon League. If they had a similar system to the Legends Arceus side quests, it would be so good. But without it, it just feels a bit empty. But saying that, I'm still going to rank it in peak. Moving on to the gyms, Artisan was the first gym I did. This is the grass gym. This town very much looks like Sword and Shield. There's a nice big 2 FPS windmill. But outside of that, once you've done the gym, there's no reason to ever return here. And the same can be said for Cortondo, the bug-type gym. It has a nice big treehouse in the gym stadium. The only reason you'd ever return here after doing the gym is to fight the gym again. The second biggest city in the game is Lavencia, the hometown of Iono. This city looks super nice, especially at night. There's a few unique shops, but overall, kind of an empty shell. But at least it has a good soundtrack. Cascarafa, while looking awesome, has the best soundtrack of any of the cities in the game, and I'm going to have to rank this all the way up in peak. But this town kind of comes on a 2-for-1, because you also visit the Harbor City. This town, all things considered, is pretty fleshed out. There's no actual shops or gym here, but this town has the unique market. Here, there's various different sellers, and there's also an auction house, which, okay, the story introduces you to this, but it seems like there's a bunch of rare items that you can just get on random days. I like how this area looks a lot, and even though it's not a main place to visit, I still think it's better than most of the gym towns. Larry's town, Medali, is the only one that I can really excuse for looking dull and having nothing there, because it kind of just fits Larry in general. This town's just a few office blocks and a restaurant. As depressing as it is, I found it pretty funny. Zapapico is another pointless town. It doesn't have any gyms, it doesn't have any shops, but hey, you can evolve the Mega Man Pokemon here, so I at least can't put it all the way at the bottom. Alphanada is a pretty late game city that reminded me a lot of Breath of the Wild. They had a decent soundtrack overall, but outside of that, nothing there. A bunch of these cities have warehouses in them that 100% look important, but are actually just nothing. I can't tell if things were just cut from this game, or that's just like a massive oversight. To round it out, we've got the 2 ice cities, and one's a bit better than the other. Montenevera is the ghost-type gym. It very much fits the ghost-type theme. Then it also has a live performance stage just in the town. I think this town looks pretty good. And then finally, Grusha's gym. Notice how this isn't a town. It's just the gym building. I guess they just ran out of ideas. Also, I hope this doesn't come across as negative. I actually think the world as a whole is very diverse with plenty of variation in the biomes. Majority of the open world area feels very full, and it's clearly designed to all have a purpose. The towns, just not as much. Bonus tier list, I rank all of the battle themes in the game. There's not really much point in individually going through each one, so I'm just going to give you some honorable mentions. The Team Star and the Professor themes are the single best themes in the game. The Team Star grunt is massively underrated because no one actually hears beyond the first minute of it. The Wild themes in general are pretty average to bad, and the Champion theme and the Elite Four theme kind of suck. And that being said, it's time for the most important tier list of them all. Ranking every sandwich in the game. This is going to be real quick. I'm not going to rank any of these sandwiches based on what they do in the game. I'm just going to look at the list, read what they are, and tell you if I'd eat it. You know what? I would eat this. This one's the potato salad sandwich. It looks stacked. I'd probably eat that. This one also looks stacked. I can't even see the picture though. That looks like a crime, so I'm just gonna rank that down there. Okay, I can see strawberries in this. Crime. Immediately a crime. Fruit sandwich. Crime. This one is just hilarious because it's basically like a full English breakfast in a sandwich. Here's a crime. There's a noodle sandwich in this game. Not one, but multiple sandwiches have noodles in them. This one here is curry and rice in a sandwich. No thanks. That looks disgusting. That just looks like they've piled it all in one. Some of these just look insane. And not in the good way. That's my sandwich tier list, everyone. Why did I do this? Okay, let's rank all the new Pokemon. Immediately have to start with Sprigatito, the Great. What a good design. And then some things happen. Controversial opinion, I don't mind the fact that the cat stands up for once. Florigato is pretty cool, but it just ends up being a middle evolution to Meowscarada. I actually love this design, which I never thought I'd say for a bipedal cat. Wait, Coco ranks second for the stars for sure. The one with the sombrero looking hat isn't good. It then goes to Skeledirge, which insane typing, by the way. Average design. Quaxley is my least favorite, but I can't rank him low, right? As I said in my playthrough, I love all the starters in this game, but then he goes to this weird thing, but the final evolution picks it back up a bit. This is just a crazy flamboyant duck. Might not be your pick, but you just cannot rank this low. Lechonk sells itself as an easy Wooloo slash Mareep slash your Route 1 Pokemon that will sell as plushies. But then what happened to Oink this thing? Fido, cute little dog, bred. Not quite as good as Lechonk. Dashbun, significantly better, and I like this dog a lot, because this is how I got Charizard. This is Mastiff. I hate this dog. Malvostief is solid, purely for the story. The Dunsparce, hilarious, by the way. The fact that they knew people wanted a Dunsparce evolution, and this is how they delivered it, brilliant. It's so funny. Toadstool, funny little guy. I know a lot of people don't like this Pokemon. I think it's funny, personally, and the fact that it just running there with its little legs, I like them. I don't like his evolution though. Tinkatink, Tinkatun, Tinkatuff. This is my single favorite evolution line in the entire game. Maybe up there of all time. Makes hammers and throws rocks at Corviknight. Like, why? But it's so good. Charcadet, edgy dude. It serves as a stepping stone for its evolutions, which Ceruledge, brilliant. Armarouge looks a bit goofy, but I appreciate its design nonetheless. Doesn't look like we've got Wooper in here, but Clodsire, I like it. I like the fact that it's poison and ground. Route 1 bug Pokemon, Tarantula. It's a bug type, right? It's I don't hate it, but Spidops, oh my god. This thing is just, you know, I just want to crush it. Nimple's funny because there's a little scene where he's running behind his trainer. That is what single-handedly formed my opinion on this Pokemon. Its evolution gets everywhere and it's in your way all the time. In areas where I see this, I put a fire type up front and I am auto-battling every single one. A little Dung Beetle's one of the ones where it's like, oh, of course that makes sense for them to do a Pokemon like that. It's average until this dude makes it. He grows like a beautiful flower in the end. Greavard has a funny little dog dancing scene. Apart from that, I didn't really think much of it, so it can go up in good choice. But this is just the embodiment of the skull emoji, so that's just average. Flill's a weird little flying saucer. Honestly, average. I wouldn't use it. And then you have the weird looking, I don't know. And that can't be a good thing. When I first saw Faragarath, I was 100% yes. But the thing is, there were so many other good designs that I just didn't end up wanting to use it. Wiglet, why? On first impression, seeing Don Donzo, it's just Wishcash, isn't it? But when you do the Titan story, you'll understand why this is a good choice. Veluza fills the role of Sharpedo in the DLCs, which it doesn't even get the benefit of forming my opinion earlier in Gen 3. So I hate this fish. Citizen's the funny little dolphin dude. The normal form of his evolution sucks. It's the same thing, but it can go to this, which... cool. Smoliv's one of the early ones they revealed. Worst of the Route 1 Pokemon. Kind of like Budju. This is kind of like Roselia. And then I just didn't like the final design. Capsicid's an angry little dude, but finding out that his evolution is fire and grass type is so sick. Tadpole sucks, but then you've got Bellybolt. He's just a good guy. Varoom didn't really leave a lasting impression on me. And then I just get disappointed with Revaroom because it's not the cars. I like Orthworm a lot when I see it, but when it's gone, there's one that I just kind of forget exists. Tandem Mouse and Mousehold, of course. Hilarious designs. I didn't want to use them because it just didn't look that strong. But it turns out it's got competitive viability, which you can't rank in anything other than great. They showed Titan early, and it was probably one of the weakest of the ones they showed early. I don't know how this hasn't been ranked yet, but this might be the worst Pikachu clone. Pawmi's alright, but then it's just the same thing twice. I used this bird in my story thinking it'd be a 3-stage evolution, but it wasn't. So that ended up being kind of lame. This dude just gets used as a bike, so I kind of feel bad for him. See, I'd say this is a fairly average bird Pokemon until I learned that it drops rocks on random people. Good job, Bombardier. There's 4 forms of this bird? Flapigo, the fake leak Pokemon that I made. The fact that it doesn't evolve makes this even funnier. Cloth just kind of exists, right? We've already got Corphish. We didn't really need another crab, but as a Titan Pokemon, it's alright. It's okay. Salt Rock Minecraft I like a lot, but honestly, design-wise, I think the middle evolution is the best looking. But I use this on my team, so I'd just say it's a good choice. Glamora's weird Pokemon, I don't like this, and I really don't like the first evolution. It's like they tried to sell this as like some late game, pseudo-legendary type thing. I didn't like it at all. Grafaiai's alright. I remember when this was revealed, I was kind of hyped, but in reality, this is just the bad guy goon Pokemon, right? For Bramblin and Bramblegast, usually I'm the one that likes the funny designs when they're really basic. This one didn't do it for me. Now for the pseudo-legendary, when you compare this to Gible, this does not rank very high. I think it's one of the ones that just gradually gets better each time. Good choice. Annihilate takes Mankey and Primeape to a whole nother level. That entire line has been reinvigorated. And then we have King Gambit. I love the fact that this Pokemon is basically explained through how you evolve it, which I think is super unique. I don't like Red Gold at all. It just doesn't look like a Pokemon. Then the chest form kind of works. It makes sense as a collectible Pokemon. I just need to kind of forget that the little dude is inside. Then what happened to Goldingo? This is just the cheese string, man. And it's one of the most broken Pokemon in the game. And last but not least, let's talk about the Legendaries and the Paradox Pokemon. Firstly, I think we can all agree that Scarlet just wins by a mile here. So firstly, we have Ancient Donphan, which personally, I think is a pretty cool design. This looks like it would be the third evolution to Donphan. Brute Bonnet is just Among Us, but it's got green spikes on it. And I don't like this Magneton. This just doesn't look like an Ancient Mon, and I don't really get it. For Screamtail, they just gave Jigglypuff nice slick hair and yellow eyes. Pretty average. And same with Misdreavus. They didn't really touch this one at all, but now things start to get better. Firstly, we have Slitherwing, which is a new take on Larvester. Unlike the three before, this one's a clear deviation in the design, and it looks pretty unique. Okay, before we go through the big hitters, Robot Delibird. Even though I say generally that most of the future designs are very lackluster, the fact that there's a Robot Delibird that's straight up overpowered is hilarious. Now, Roaring Moon, oh my god. Mega Salamence already exists, but this just eclipses it. Where Ancient Donphan had a pretty cool design, Robot Donphan didn't really do much. I don't like this one. Then we have the robot version of Volcarona called Iron Moth. I would say this is fairly average, but I really like the fact that the wings are floating in the air around it. That's going to give it a bump up into at least good choice. Iron Hands, the same thing. The floating hands make this Mon just look really funny. Now, while it's not really doing anything insane, I still appreciate its existence. Robot Tyranitar is very, very uninspired. As sick as Mon as Tyranitar is, this is just Metal Tyranitar. I don't really care much for it. Then finally, the final Paradox Pokemon that combines Gallade and Gardevoir into a genderless robot that looks like it's from the Sonic world. This is a hit. This is going all the way up with the greats. It's the best Paradox Pokemon in Violet for sure. Now we have the 4 Legendaries. And while I haven't caught these in game, I have a rough idea about them. 2 I like, 2 not so much. The Icy Cat with the sword tusks. This looks like what Zacian should have been. In fact, this stupid little fish is a legendary, makes me happy. So that's going all the way up in great. But then the other 2, the weird slug, grassy, whatever it is, don't care. And then Tauros with the bull for its head, yeah, that's average. Which brings us around to the final 2, the 2 legendary Pokemon. I do like them both a lot, they have their own thing going, but there's one that I like just a bit better, which is Koraidon. Miraidon goes in good choice. Okay, and with that being said, thank you for watching. Feel free to go down in the comments and discuss what you would have picked in the tier list, and also let me know if you want to see more tier lists in the future. Thanks a lot, like the video, and goodbye!